Welcome back to Live With, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. I'm Dave Palumbo, and as promised, we're back with part 2 with our good friend David Dearth. Welcome back, man.
Thank you, Dave. Glad to be back.
I'm glad you came back after that. It was an epic interview. A lot of people really enjoyed all the stories from the 90s and how you got into bodybuilding, but we're just scratching the surface here, and we needed to take, like I said, a dramatic pause. Now we're back, and I really want to start off with, you were a very mentally tough guy in the gym, and you don't just go casually strolling into the gym and become mentally tough. There's preparation involved. What would be a typical day for you? Like if you had to do like a leg workout or a tough back workout, what would the day be like leading up to the gym? And then how would you handle that once you went to the gym? Because there was no cell phones, there was no Instagramming, there was no selfies at that time. What was a typical day like for you leading up to a workout? Because I'll tell you what mine was afterwards, but I know you're a warrior too.
That's a great question. There's so much talk about, the mind preparation before the actual training. But a lot of times pros or coaches don't explain how you do that, and how you train the mind to prepare for the workout. And there's a reason that I have 4 ex-wives, because I didn't get much attention to any of them while I was training. No, three strippers and a 15-year-old were my ex-wives. So just saying. But so anyway, the night before, I'd be recuperating from the final workout of the evening. The night before, after I got my shower and relaxed, had my last meal, be sitting there watching TV. And I wasn't really actually watching TV. In my mind, I was picturing, from what I was going to wear to the gym in the morning, to walking in the gym, how I was going to feel where I was going to park, walking into the gym, what exercises I was going to do, what weights I was going to do, how heavy they were going to be, how it was going to be. My mind thinking I'm not going to be able to get this rep, but seeing myself push through that. And I would replay that workout 2 or 3 or 4 times in my mind at night before I ever got up to go to the gym. Wow. And so that way, when I got up to go to the gym, I pop my headphones on. I don't have to think about anything I'm doing in there. I've already done this intense workout 3 or 4 times in my mind. Now I just have to go through the motion. I don't have to think about where I'm going, or I don't have to be worried about how heavy the weight's going to. I've already.
Dave, I can completely relate to what you're saying because, I remember reading Dorian Yates saying the same thing. I mean, mental preparation about the workout was really important. Playing that workout in your head over and over and over again. But like you said, it really exacts a toll on you because anytime people want to, you to go someplace, or if you have to go to a relative's house, or you have to break your ritual of going to the gym, preparing at a certain time, eating your meals, you almost get nutty, aggravated. It's like how dare people interrupt your schedule, because you become this neurotic machine that needs to do things on a certain a pattern, and if you don't, it almost like it throws your whole day off. I mean, people don't understand that who don't train. Like I work out now like casually, so it doesn't matter when I could be up in my room changing my kid's diaper, doing a bicep curl with the other. It doesn't matter to me. But when your whole being in essence is focused on training, it becomes the most important thing in your life.
Yeah, you're 100% right, and it's hard because another mental aspect is you have to be able to separate yourself from the life that's going outside of the world of bodybuilding, and not be angry at other people for eating pizza in front of you, or for having a life in front of you, or going out to bars in front of you. You have to be okay with the decision that you made, that my career and my training in this workout tomorrow, that's going to bring me more joy than this dinner on the town, or this movie, or this club. Right. And it's hard, but you just have to become secluded with yourself and your desire to win. It has to just override everything.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now you at some point obviously hit a comfort zone. Probably when you were with the BF probably, and you started being introduced to celebrities and stuff like that. And you talked a little bit in the last interview, the last part, about the partying aspect of it. When did that really start getting out of control?
I think last interview I mentioned during a party I had gone into my bedroom. The party was out in the main room, and I had gone into my bedroom, and there was a popular female bodybuilder at the time, and she had some dope on a spoon, cooking it up, and I was really agitated. I didn't want that shit in my house. Here we are out blowing lines all over the place. And, but to me, to see, this pretty girl with a needle on her arm, it just kind of overwhelmed me. And we talked about it. She was telling me how, it'll help you train longer. It's not just to get high, it'll take away the aches and the pains. And this was Nubain and heroin and things like that. And I think that when I tried that, and I think that when I made it known to my peers, the people I was hanging out with, I found so many of them that were doing the same thing I was. Oh, really? So I was able to make it okay in my head. All these great guys that I admired, and some of them weren't big partiers, but most of them were using Nubain and using, now would be abusing pain medication. And so I started to be okay with that. And, what that did, Dave, is it helped me train harder in the gym because it took away the pain. Yeah. But it also took away the pain to the extent that I didn't know that I was actually training with injuries. And I was able to train through what I thought was just wear and tear, but here it was actually, injuries. And then they started to add up. And the more injured I got, the higher my increase of drugs went. And I got really lost. I went into a really dark place for a long time. And sure, the stories.
Well, yeah. Who introduced you to the Nubain? Was that was a Dan Duchesne thing, I know, back in the 90s. A lot of people in the California scene got it from him or was introduced to it from him.
Yeah. That's same for me.
Yeah. Do you remember that, like, the first intravenous shot you took of Nubain?
I do remember that. And it was like Christmas. I was like, wow, all right. And
because Nubain wouldn't get you really like high where you couldn't function. It was a functional high, and it would take away appetite, if you were hungry, during diets, and it allowed you to train harder. So he kind of rationalized, a lot of bodybuilders did, that it was a good thing for bodybuilding, right?
Well, I believe, and this is probably kind of fucked up to say, but I believe, that if I had used it correctly with the other gear, it may have helped my career. But I know when I got on the treadmill, when I was, eating 600 calories a day and, my third hour of cardio, I knew that taking, a big old blast of Nubain sure as hell made that cardio go faster. Yeah.
So at what point did the Nubain not be enough for you? And then, because Nubain kind of self-levels itself. If you could take so much of it and then it doesn't work anymore. What point did you go to take that next jump to the heroin,
Well, the problem, Dave, is like for me, I could have never imagined myself using needles when I was a kid. Right. And then you start taking steroids and, testosterone's okay. And then taking it with some DECA is okay, and then maybe a little IV Lasix before shows, okay. Then you're taking insulin and it's okay. And pretty soon the needle is part of your life as a bodybuilder. Sure. And what you put in it, if you're not careful and you're not grounded, which I've always been very spiritually grounded, but I did lose it for a long time. And it starts not to be quite as important to your soul as what you're putting in that needle. So when the Nubain wasn't working and I got introduced to the heroin, even though I had a bad addiction to it, I didn't look at myself as a heroin junkie because I was still a competitive bodybuilder doing well.
You were functional.
So still functioning. And then, hey, if you mix some cocaine with that heroin, oh boy. And then if you mix some cocaine with that heroin and do some ecstasy and go out with all your friends, it's okay because they're doing it too.
Oh, man. So, what does that feel like when you speedball and those two drugs together?
Huh.
I don't want to get flashbacks.
It'll sound like I'm glorifying it because.
No, well, we're going to talk about the negatives that happened to your life afterwards, so that'll solidify that.
Well, with the ecstasy, when we were the WBF guys, and then we'd hook up with other pros too. So when we were in the WBF, we still got along with the IFBB guys. Right. There were a few that were really jealous because we were making the contracts, and what it inevitably did is caused Joe and caused Weeder to start writing contracts. Right. Which is good. So, but we go out, and just one night I remember we went to a big underground rave party, and my brother and his wife were there, and my brother my brother Doug won the Mr. California the year Dennis Newman did. He won the middleweight.
Oh, wow.
And my brother Devin won the Mr. Kentucky when Tricky Jackson won the overall. So, we were all just kind of out at this club, and it was Raven. And, on the way out, one of the guys in the WBF, a Dutchman, don't want to say any names. And, we got our ecstasy, and we all had about 10 hits, that we were going to take throughout the night, and threw them all in his mouth at one time.
Oh my God, no way.
So, and he's driving a Porsche, and I'm in with my girlfriend, and he's got his girl. We get to this club, and they say, "Hey, man," my brother's wife comes up and say, "Hey, Doug's in the bouncer's room, man. They thought he was dealing drugs," and my brother didn't even do drugs or anything. So you got about 12 the biggest roided out high motherfuckers you can knocking down the security door, and they all jumped up, and then it was like, oh shit. So there's a free-for-all brawl in there, and we're having a great time. They finally got us out. And when they got the door closed and they put the thing across, then they were like, fuck you guys, you're bodybuilders and that. And Barry took his hand, put it right through that glass door.
No way.
So this guy has his face on the door going, fuck you to Barry. Bam, right through the door. Oh. Just slit his arm. Oh, he's bleeding everywhere. Like, yeah, this is great. And I said, I'm riding home with Barry. Fuck this. And we got in his Porsche, and we're on the 405, and he's got that thing red lining me, 160 miles an hour. We're going down.
Oh my God.
He reaches down and he grabs out his taser, and he goes, watch this. You ever do this before? And stuck out his tongue and zapped himself with it while he was driving. And I thought that was all right. I was okay with that. But I mean, that's what it was. Like I say, we didn't have social media to play with, so we had to do real shit.
Oh my God.
I miss those guys.
Now, weren't you at parties with Robert Downey Jr. too back in the day?
Yeah, I had a really great clientele. I had a lot of really famous celebrities, and again, unfortunately for me, they weren't in rehab at the time.
Yeah.
So, going to parties with them, it was good for them because I don't know if you remember, Dave, when Golds was really flourishing with, my era of guys.
Sure.
The top celebrities would come in and they would want pro bodybuilders to train them.
Right.
It was kind of like a feather in their cap to have Mr. Somebody training them.
I remember seeing Chuck Woolery in there and Bruce Jenner and all these guys had trainers.
Funny story about Bruce Jenner, but anyway, even guys like Al Bundy, remember the guy that played Al Bundy, and Gregory Hines, did you say him?
Oh, always in there, yeah.
Wesley Snipes and Jean-Claude Van Damme, and it was just, it was packed every time you walked in. There was celebrities all over, and, I had that clientele, and then, went from there to, hey, why don't you come out with me and my friends tonight? And it's like, oh, Robert Downey, go out with you? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And he was just like his character in Iron Man. He didn't give a rat's ass about anybody.
Oh, really?
Smarter than every smart ass girl would come up and try to talk to him, and and then I'd be like, Robert, anyone you brush off, brush them my way. These girls are hot.
Yeah.
Don't just throw them to the curb.
Yeah.
Introduce them to me. But we'd be up, Dave. Honest to God, we'd wait till about 11 o'clock to go out, and then we'd hit a popular club. But at the clubs then, because the rave clubs moved to different spots so they wouldn't get busted.
Right.
So about 1 o'clock in the morning, they'd come out with where the club's going to be, and they'd give you a little piece of paper with an address.
Ah.
And so that way we'd go to the clubs. We'd get there about 3 in the morning, and you don't want to ruin your ecstasy buzz or your drug buzz with alcohol.
Sure.
And they didn't serve alcohol then, so it was just like orange juice and water. But everyone was just like, it's like a bunch of fucking roided out hippies. We had a great time. Come out, and the sun's up. It's like 9:30, and we're like, oh shit, who wants breakfast?
Yeah.
And then
that's when you're a real degenerate. I always said that if the few times I came out of clubs and it was light out, I'm like, I'm a real degenerate now, man. Right?
You made it to the bottom, buddy.
Yeah. If you can see the sun, you've been out too long.
Yeah.
Now, what point did you hit like rock bottom? Did you that it got too much? The drugs use got out of hand. You weren't handling it anymore, and it became a destructive force in your life.
Well, when I came back to Ohio, I decided to do one more show. It was like 2007. I think it was at Toronto or something. And I got busted for steroids about 3 weeks out.
Ugh.
And I had been on probation before for steroids. So this was a probation violation plus new charges. Well, the guy I was getting steroids for happened to be my probation officer.
Oh my God.
And they didn't believe me. So, you know, I was like, I'm not gonna take the hit for him. He asked me to get him just to,
Sure.
so he, you know, so they let me go ahead and do the show, provided that I make a phone call just to verify to them that he was. So I didn't have to say anything. I just called him up and said, Dave, I love this shit, man. I'm fucking this Chinese bitch in room 12. He just let I called him going, I can't be a snitch. And then I ended up not having to be, you know, he just told on himself. So I was like,
Yeah.
and I ended up getting out of those charges, but I did shitty at the show, and I knew that I had to do something. So I came home, and I got this job with this guy, a real high marketing, direct level. SCI's name is Ben Suarez. And got this job with him. I was his personal trainer. I had to train him twice a week. He paid me $140,000, then royalties on top of the products.
Oh, wow.
Good money, great money. I mean, good money there. I was there about 18 years, bro. And then what happened, my brother Devin, he had just won the Mr. Kentucky, and then he came home, and a year later he's in the gym training. And my dad calls me up like 5 in the morning. He said, you got to get to Louisville. You know, something's wrong with your brother. So I got down to Louisville here. I had a brainstem bleed, and it was real bad. And, you know, we did a lot, and, you know, we ended up taking him to China. There's a documentary out called 9,000 Needles.
Yeah.
On what happened with my brother. Anyway, he came back and he wasn't doing well. He came to my home. He only had use of his left hand, but I was picking him up and put him in a wheelchair to take him. He ended up slitting his wrist one night when I went in to pick him up, and I got a 7 to 8-year-old at home.
Oh.
You know, so here's my little brother in one room, and I got my kids trying to go to school in the other, and he's all bled out. I took him to the hospital. I come back. He does it a second time. So the third time, this time I said, you got to go down and live with mom. So
he was obviously not happy with his life, so he was trying to
No, and you know, Dave, here's the thing. I can share this now because it never had to happen. But I told him, I mean, he was so fucked up. I mean, he was just, and he was very articulate, and you know, he was but he was so messed up. And I tried to put myself in his shoes, and I just wanted to know that if I wanted out, I had an out. So I talked to him. I said, Devin, listen, if you ever, you know, you talk to me, I'm your big brother.
Right.
You know, I'll leave a bottle of Xanax and a Diet Coke here, and I'll go for a drive. You know, I don't want you in this pain. I don't want you talking about slitting your wrist and all these things all the time. You know, don't do that to mom. Don't do that to the family. It'll be between me and no one will ever know. So when he kept slitting his wrist, I didn't understand because we had already had this conversation. Right. But anyway, I get this call, and my brother had hung himself. Oh. So I went down and I saw him hanging there, and I'm trying to resuscitate him. All around the same time period, I got my third DUI in 2 years. So my brother dies, and they send me to jail again.
So were you functionally a drug addict at this point, pretty much?
I you know, once I came back and you know, I say I was because I never missed work, but you know, I was having so many surgeries at the time, and I already had a history with pain meds. Right. So for my kids to come home from school, basically, Dad was stitched up, sewed up somewhere, and blacked out on the couch. So, you know, that wasn't a great father figure for them to see. So my thinking is, hey, look, I'm providing Jordans for you, and I'm providing this, and I'm a good dad, you know. But in hindsight, looking back as a kid, if I had to see that, you know, it'd be really hard, you know, to watch my dad with that. Anyway, the guy who was paying me all that money, he got arrested for obstructing justice, went to prison. I lost my job, lost my brother, and just had a lot of things at one time that I lost. And that's just when I was like, you know what? I always said I'll never live to be 30. You know, when I was 18, 19, the running thing was, look, I'm going to live my life so fast and so hard and have no regrets and enjoy every fucking thing that I can. Right. I'm not going to live to be 30. And I didn't have a B plan for if I did. So from 30 now to 55, I've been just kind of running on fumes, kind of trialing here. You're like, wait a minute, I'm still alive, actually, you know? I know. What's up, right? I mean, how many times have I read on social media where I committed suicide, or I died, or in prison again, or died on my motorcycle? I mean, I just read something the other day where I overdosed and died on drugs. So
I think when your
but I'm
brother
still
first,
here.
Dave, when your brother first died, and the news came out, I think a lot of people thought it was you. That was the original story.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right about that. And
There was a lot of confusion.
you know, and I read this stuff, Dave, and you know, it bothers me that, you know, some people still view me as that person, but they don't know me. Because when I was younger, coming into this sport, I made a commitment to God, and I said, listen, you know, I'm not asking you to make me Mr. America or this. I'm just asking you to bless me with the ability to be the best that I can, and to always do that. And while doing that, please bless me with the humbleness to be able to always tell the truth, you know, keep my integrity and my virtue, and be interactive with people. And I had not done that during that period while I was in California, and I'd gotten away from that.
Right.
So, you know, now in this point in my life, you know, now my whole goal and my purpose is to go back to where I was in the beginning, and to help people that suffer like I do. And you know, I have a lot of speaking engagements, probably 4 or 5 a week or a month, where I go and speak to young addicts and alcoholics. And you know, it was just a really hard time, and you know, I didn't think I would make it through it, Dave. It was so bad. I mean, I had track marks all up and down my arms. I couldn't wear a short sleeve shirt anywhere.
Right.
When
did you actually have to go seek help, Dave?
Pardon me?
When did you actually have to go seek help? When was rock bottom for you?
Overdosing in the middle of downtown Canton on the side of the road, and waking up in ICU, and you know, having my parents there, and my pastor there, and everybody telling me goodbye, you know. And
you thought you were going to die, huh?
Yeah, they did. They said I died twice in the ambulance on the way, and just when I woke up, you know, just enough, and had enough whatever, enough to be able to see what was going on, to look at my mom's face and look at my family's face. You know, I knew I had to do something, and it was a while before I was able to. But
right.
you know, I got back into training. That's been the thing, you know, between God and the gym, Dave. That's the only thing that keeps me going all the time. And you know, I don't have to go in the gym and train like I used to.
Right.
It's just that thing, you know, that place that I go to, that's just for me. And I don't have any bills in the gym, and I don't have any problems in the gym, and I don't have to deal with anything bad in the gym. I go in there, and once I do something for me in the day, I start off at 4:30 in the gym, and once I'm done, you know, now I can go about my day. And
did you do your own rehab essentially?
No, I went to plenty of rehab. In fact, the rehab I was in, the last rehab I was in, is this big fat counselor. And every day, he didn't like that I was a pro bodybuilder, and he didn't like I had an education. So every day, you know, he just kept saying, "You have a disease of addiction. What are you doing for your disease of addiction? Disease." And you know, I don't know if it's a disease or not. You know, I mean, that's whatever. I don't know, and I don't care. I just know I don't like it when I have it.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there one day, and we had, you know, 15 or 20 people in the room, and he's asking me, "What'd you do for your addiction today? What'd you do for your disease?" And I said, "What did you do for yours?" And he's like, "What?" And I said, "Fucking obesity's a disease too, motherfucker. Look at your fat ass. What'd you do today?" I got kicked out again. Kicked out again.
Kicked you out of rehab.
How do you get kicked out of rehab, you know?
I never heard of anyone getting kicked out of rehab for insulting the rehab officer.
Yeah, don't do that, people.
No. So now, when you cleaned yourself out, have you been clean since then, or did you have relapses since?
No, I've had relapses, you know, throughout. You know, it's been a while, but you know, that's what I try to share with people, is that, you know, things like AA and other programs that are so regimented. You know, if you got your year coin or whatever it is, and then you slip up, you know, you just think you lost all that, and you just go into this perpetual, you know, just downward spiral. And you know, it's not like that. You know, we all mess up every day. Yeah. You know, the thing is when we mess up, what do we do? You know, what do we do then? And you know, that's kind of what my message to people is now, is, you know, you got to feel good enough about yourself to understand that we make mistakes, but you know, it's how you bounce back from them, and what you do after you've made the mistakes that's going to define you. And that is by what's your character. What do you do when people's not looking? You know, what do you work as hard when you're not working as when the boss is around? Do you work as hard not to drink as when your wife's there or someone's there? You know, all those things I think come back to what kind of person you really are.
You know, a lot of people don't realize this. You train racehorses now. How did you get
I
into that?
I do. This, I'm stuck at my mom's. I'm just finally through rehab. And while I was in jail, you know, after 16 years, the last week in jail, I get fucking divorce papers. Yeah, you know, my wife and kids take off. I get out, $1 million gone.
Dave, excuse me. How much time did you do in prison?
Prison or jail?
Well, I call it the same thing.
Jail was the last one. Jail was 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was in there 6 months, and on the last week before I got out, you know, I got the divorce papers. I'm like, God damn, I didn't even know we were having issues.
Yeah.
You know, so she's gone, everything's gone. I get out and I'm waiting to be picked up by my wife and kids. I'm like, Mom.
No. When you have to call Mom, you know you hit rock bottom, right?
Right, especially at 50. You know.
Yeah.
So Mom comes, and I'm down there, and I'm in an IOP, an outpatient program down there, and you know, doing well. But then all of a sudden, this girl from Alabama comes in, smoking hot heroin addict, 22 years old or something. Bad connection. We good?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, so she comes in, and you know, of course, you're not supposed to have relations with someone in the program. Of course, you know I did. And so I got kicked out of the program.
Again.
And they reissued me a warrant. So I decided to go to Charlotte and work security a while because I didn't feel like going back to jail.
Yeah.
But, you know, I finally came back, and Spider-Man had just come out. And I put up on Facebook, I said, hey, it's take your favorite bodybuilder to Spider-Man Day. And that's these females and males were texting me, I'll take you. And this one person, they weren't messaging me. They were putting this shit on my wall. I'll take you. The ball's in your court, champ. The ball's in your court, big guy. I'm just like, who the fuck talks like that?
Yeah.
Right. So this person's just making a mockery, because if I didn't respond to her, then now I'm not being nice to everybody, you know? So I decided to look at her profile picture. She got this big blue dress on, like a curtain. She got a 5 o'clock shadow, and just, and I'm like, so I call and I said, listen, you know I like girls, right? You know, I'm not into dudes. I'm just saying. And she's like, well, good. I'm glad you like girls. I'm like, well, you know, stop blowing my stuff up, because I looked at your profile picture and you're a girl, or you're a dude. And she, oh no, that's my son. He's a monk. He's in the monastery. It's him and his. I'm like, oh shit. Well, that's just as bad. You know, that's just your son's mom. Went out to eat with her, Dave. We went to, I mean, she's my age. I looked when I first saw her, I'm like, first off, you're old.
Yeah.
Secondly, you know, you're not a fitness model.
Right.
You know, thirdly, you got hair from the 80s. You know, and I'm just, physically, this just wasn't what I was looking for.
Right.
And so we started hanging out, and we get down and we're at Applebee's, and she's like, well, we're talking. She said, I don't drink, and I don't smoke, and I don't cuss, and I go to church every Sunday and Wednesdays too. And I'm like, no, this is going to work well. Yeah. So I just want you to know I do all that, you know, except for the church part. Yeah. You know, I don't go to Catholic church. And when we started talking, then I found out that she was a jockey. You know, she's one of the most famous female jockeys in the world. Oh, wow. In fact, she's the only female jockey to ever win 7 races in a 24-hour, 7 straight races on 7 different horses. Wow. So now I'm looking at an athlete. I'm like, yeah, not in my sport, right, but a professional athlete that understands the driven. And so we balance each other out. I still do all the bad shit, you know, most of the bad shit, and she still doesn't do anything. Yeah. But we've been together for a couple of years. She's a steward down here at Mountaineer Racetrack in West Virginia. Oh, okay. And then I take care of the horses. You know, I take care of the horses, and I've been all over taking care of the horses. Because Dave, when I had to make a change, you know, I had to, if I was going to leave drugs and bodybuilding and all that, I couldn't keep part of it in my life. I had to make a complete change. Sure. You know, I had to get away from the people. I had to get away from training people. I had to just get away from that complete mindset and get into something that I could give all the energy that I put into the sport into something in a new direction if I was really going to change. Right. And I've been able to do that with the horses. And now awesome. I'm able to kind of come back in the sport and, you know, visit my friends, and I'm comfortable now. Now, back in the day, if you would have had that job, you would have had the Winstrel Equipoise hookup, right? Dude, I still try to get that shit. I still, every fucking tack room I go in, I'm like looking in the guy here. Man, if I could
That
find
was
a
good
couple
stuff.
bottles of that.
Yeah, that was good stuff back then.
Yeah, that's the truth.
I mean, those horses are so magnificent, those racehorses. I mean, it's like you're with different creatures from another planet, right? I mean, they're not like regular horses.
No, they're athletes, Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, they know when it's race day. You know, they puff up. They get, you know, they know, and when it's time to run, man, just, you know, it's everything I can do to get them over there. Then just get the fuck out of the way, because they're going, and you know, they come back huffing and puffing with attitude. Especially when you take one into the winner's circle, they know they won.
They do.
You know, they got that head up. They're looking around like, yeah, you know, like we do. So yeah, they're something else.
That's amazing. You know, if you had to look back at your life, people always ask me this, and I know what my answer is. When you look back at your life, do you have any regrets if you had to do it again?
You know, Dave, a lot of people ask me that, and because I've done so much wrong, people expect to hear that I have so many regrets, you know. And but with that, with all the things that I did wrong, I also accomplished some very great things, you know, that I'm very happy about. So in order for me to let go of my past, I can't hang on to, you know, who I used to be as a bodybuilder, because then I'd have to hang on to who I used to be as a drug addict. And you know, so when I look back over that, I just try, you know, I don't have any regrets, because I'm here today talking to you. You know, everything brought me to here today to talk with you and have a great conversation, and have good friends now in a different direction. So is there things I would have done differently? I'm sure we all have those, but I can't really dwell on things that I can't really dwell on that. You know what I'm saying?
When you look at life now and look ahead to the future, what gets you excited? What are you passionate about? What would you like to be doing in the future? You know, because we all set short-term goals for ourselves. Where do you see yourself, and what really is something that interests you?
Well, here's my philosophy in life now. Here, I'm going Dorian on you. Here's my philosophy in life now. You know, when I was younger, when I was training and when I was happy, you know, every day that I trained and was happy, that was my accomplishment. And, you know, going through all the struggles and the losses that I've had and endured, you know, now every day for me, you know, my sole thing for the day, my sole goal for the day is just to be happy and get the most I can out of each day. So if I can wake up in the morning, say my prayer, get up, get to the gym, I can get through the day, and I'm looking at people and I'm smiling and I'm laughing and we're hanging out and we're having a good time. Look, like I said, I was supposed to be dead at 30. So every day that I have now, my goal is just to be happy today. And I'm a gypsy. You know, somebody calls me tomorrow and says, hey, there's horses in Florida. I'm going to Florida. You know, I mean, that just makes me happy. Just being, you know, a lot of when I had my kids and I had my career and I was tied. I don't want to say tied down. When I was, I had responsibilities. Right. You know, I don't have those anymore. And my only responsibility is to me and to be happy. So if I can be happy and make somebody else happy today, it was a good day, and that's going to be my goal for tomorrow. And where I'm going to be at the end of the week, you have to call me the end of the week.
How old are your kids now, Dave?
Pardon me?
How old are your children now?
I've got a 35-year-old who looks just like me, unfortunately. He's awesome. I've got a 19-year-old that just went to the Marines and an 18-year-old that graduates next month.
Oh, so you did good. They're all grown up now.
Yes, sir. Yep.
When you look back,
you're just getting started.
Yeah, I know. I'm exactly. You'll be a grandfather before my kids are 18.
Before you.
Dave, what kind of advice do you give your kids now when they call you up or you talk to them on the phone? I mean, knowing the life you've lived all that life. There's nothing these kids could do that you haven't done already. I mean, do you have advice for them, or do you just tell them, look, do what makes you happy? You know.
No, you know, when the kids were just getting into that age where their friends' dads might have known me or something, you know, I made a decision to be completely honest with them at that point and let them know, look, your dad has done some things throughout his life, you know, with steroids and I've had drug problems and alcohol problems. You know, I wanted them to hear it from me instead of read it on the internet, you know, and I explained to him each situation, you know, these were the poor choices I made that caused this. And this is what I'm trying to do to not do this again. These are very bad. And dad has made some bad mistakes. So I tried to the entire time be honest with them before they heard it from a friend or saw it on I wanted them to be able to say, yeah, Dad already talked to me about it. If a
Right.
teacher or somebody talked about it.
Sure.
So, I just hope that I was a good enough dad, and, I give them a strong enough foundation that now as young adults, when I talk to them, I can give them advice more through a conversation than telling them what they should do or not do. That,
Sure.
if they ask me, Dad, what would you do in this position? I hope that they respect me enough that when I tell them what to do, they might consider doing it for themselves.
Yeah. Andy Hammond made a good, when I interviewed him recently, he said to me, when my kids were young and they were growing up, I basically told my kids what to do. Nowadays, I could tell my son what to do, but I'm just an advisor now. He's going to do whatever he wants anyway. I'm just another guy giving him advice, so.
Hey, my kid came home and said, I took him to the gym. We went to the gym to work out, and he's like, yeah, Dad, you're doing that wrong. And I was like, is that right? And he's, yeah. Coach Thomas told me that when you're doing these squats, that you should bounce your butt off the seat, these box squats, that you should bounce a little bit to give you more bounce up. I said, Coach who? Son, you're in a small hillbilly fuck school in Ohio, and your assistant trainer coach to the 9th grade is telling you that Mr. America's advice isn't as good as his. What are you fucking thinking, boy? And he didn't care what I had to say.
That's great. I love it. Final question. If you had to advise the generation that's coming up in bodybuilding now, okay, what advice would you give to them now that they should avoid, maybe they should embrace? I want to hear the words of a seasoned, guy who's been through the ringer already. Give this next generation some advice.
Yeah, that's tough because everybody does so many different things, and I see you have guys on there that I watch Boston. He's a very entertaining guy.
Yeah.
He and I's idea of training wouldn't be the same, but we're 25 years apart.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't mean that's right. It's just this era now with the social media and everything. I would see some of these girls and guys, they haven't won a show, and they got 15,000 followers or 100,000, and it's just my advice would be, look, don't get so caught up in the social media. It's important to your career now. You have to add that into part of your, part of the way you train. You have to promote yourselves because there's other people. But you also, learn as much as you can, from the season pro. When I was coming up, even after I got my pro card, I still appreciated Arnold. I sure appreciated Frank Zane. I appreciated the era before me because they built the path for me to be able to do what I was doing, Right. And you don't know where that line is that you can't cross until you cross it. And I think my generation, we were trying to find where that line was. Andreas Munzer, he got to that line, and then, he pushed beyond. He was ripped to shreds, and people were cheering him all the time. And then he passes away, and people have all these derogatory things to say about him. We tried so hard to get there, and I think it's find that line for yourself, and just don't be absolutely set on somebody's way to train you. Take a little bit from this person and experiment and find out what you truly want with your body. If you just want a pro card, I'm sorry, that's not much. That's not much love for the sport. You've got to love the sport and create your own physique and present it the best of your ability and hope the judges appreciate it. I really admire these young guys and the direction that bodybuilding looks like it might be coming back to. And I just say that, stay positive and stay focused and put more emphasis on your training than you do your Instagram and your Twitter accounts and your Facebook. It's got to be a passion, or it's got to be a hobby.
You're not the first person to give that advice to people, and I give it to the people also. I think people got away from the training and they got into the social media a little too much, and maybe into the drugs a little too much. And I think we're going to see a shift back to the training emphasis again, because that's where the success was. If you go back historically and look at where the greatest progress was made,
yes.
The 90s there was a lot of progress. It wasn't because there was drugs. People say, well, growth hormone came around then. Yeah, growth hormone came around, but the training, the emphasis on training, the heavy duty training, that was the thing. And it was because it happened in that Mecca over there in Gold's Venice. I mean, the training revolution with the Mensers and all the different types of training schedules, Dorian over there in England. and there was like a battle. It was like U.S. versus England. Who could be better and train harder? You know.
Look, I trained with Dory, and I was gonna show him how to train it, and he killed me. He buried me. I trained with Richie Gaspari. He killed me. You know, there's some. I thought I trained as hard as anybody. Couldn't train harder than me, and these guys buried me. And I'm just like, are you fucking shitting me? How hard do I got to train? You know, when you look at the training and the drugs and the diet, today the emphasis seems to be on the drugs. Yeah. You know, and then people are working with micros and macros and all the things for their diet, and the training, you know, seems to be the last. You know, with me it was, look, I know what my diet is today. That's already down. I know when I'm eating, what I'm eating. I know what my cycle is today. I already know what I'm taking and what I'm taking. The only thing that is something I need to take care of today is my training. And if I've been training heavy 4 weeks in a row and I'm not looking any better on the same diet and the same drugs, you know, don't be afraid to change my training. You know, go heavier or go lighter, do higher reps. You know, I've done as high as 50 reps on calves or 100 reps on calves and as low as 3 or 4. It's just the ability to not get into that routine and be afraid to step outside the box. And, you know, sometimes when I was younger, I remember when I would go to the gym, I would say, whatever the pin is on, you know, on each of the machines, whatever it's on, I'm going to failure. So some of the machines I'd sit down on, a girl might have been on it and might have 40 pounds. And I'd have to do 50 reps and go to the machine beside it, and some dude would be killing the stack. But it just kept my mind not getting into a routine. It just kept me fresh. Yeah.
Well, Dave, you know, thank you so much for opening up your life with the level of honesty you have out there. I mean, I think it really allows people to take a true look at bodybuilding and understand that different people have to go through different things to get to where they are. There's a lot of lessons to be learned. Obviously, you have a lot of wisdom. If people want to get in touch with you, Dave, and like just talk to you, maybe they have drug problems and they want to, you know, get some advice from you, what's the best way to reach out to you? On Facebook?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, any, you know, yeah, probably direct message me, and I get a lot, so I don't like maybe respond, you know, within a day or so, but I always respond. Sure. You know, I always take a couple of days just to go through and respond, and you know, anybody that thinks that I might be able to help them in any way or just needs to vent and talk about their situation, I'm always available.
Who's the hardest trainer that you've ever trained with?
Oh my God. The hardest person that trained me?
No, like the guy who trains the hardest, do you think, in our industry?
And I never trained with anybody that made me throw up twice on back like Dorian did. It was just, you know, I've trained with Ron. I've trained with all the guys.
Yeah, I know you have.
But for whatever reason, you know, he told me he was coming to Venice, and you know, I was doing my stretches and drinking milk, and I was ready. You know, I was, come on in, Dorian. Let's see what you got. Yeah. It was the second set of hammers, and you know, he'd come on another rep, and he didn't raise his voice, but it was just like he talked to you with authority. Like, if I don't do this, he's going to kick my ass. Yeah, for real. Yeah. You know. So I tried, and I failed miserably. You know, he just I've never seen anything like it. Yeah, he was incredible. He could endure some pain.
Who was the strongest bodybuilder you've ever seen in the gym?
Man, I'll tell you, Ronnie was pretty strong. Ronnie was some big weights. Personally, I'm sure there's stronger ones out there, but personally, that's the strongest guy I've ever seen.
Who had the best legs of anyone that you ever trained with?
The best legs? Oh, geez. You know, it's hard because, you know, you look at somebody like Munster and you look at how are those striations so close and that ripped. Yeah. And then you look at a guy like DeMeo or somebody like that. You know, you look at those legs or Platz's legs, and, you know, my taste is a combination of all of them. I love people that have legs. You know, I fucking hate somebody coming into a show and just no legs. Yeah. You just, you know. But
who was the best poser you've ever seen on stage, in your opinion?
I like, for a hillbilly to say this doesn't sound right, but I like Melvin Anthony. Yeah. I like Dexter. I like Durham Charles. You know, I like the guys that come out there and just put the black into their routines, and I love it, man. it's so entertaining. These guys that come out and most muscular. Come on, it's like, yeah, that was so 80s. Do something else,
Do you hate that when guys will try to, put their hand to their ears like they want to begging for applause? Does that drive you nuts?
Try something new, guys. We did that, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Make something else new, I mean, that's old, I mean, if you can't hear them cheering for you and they're not cheering loud enough for you, maybe you should work on your physique more than your hearing, I mean, I remember the one guy that used to do it was Matarazzo. He used to get that tongue
he started
out.
the whole thing.
That was pretty cool. I was all right with him, but I've given a little wave here and there, but not like today. Every guy,
Who's the best woman bodybuilder you think out there, or physique competitor, whatever physique you like the best in the women?
Oh man, that's a great question because I hate female bodybuilding. I don't know. Sharon Bruneau had it put together pretty nice.
Yeah.
I think Rachel McClish had an amazing body for that time period. Sure. Gladys Portuguese, was that her name?
Yeah,
Gladys.
She,
at that time, but nowadays I like the girls that are small and have a compact waist and hips and have the flaring, where you see them standing next to you and you think, oh, what's this little fitness or this little swimsuit girl going to do? And they come out and they have wide enough back. Real quick, I had this girl. She was from Canada. I trained her. She got her pro card. I'm with her. I'm in the hotel room, and I wake up, and here's this big back in my bathroom mirror. I'm in the bed, and I'm looking, and she got a towel around her. Here's this big back full of zits, and I'm sitting here like, And I look at her. She's shaving. She's shaving. And I was like, you know what? Get your shit. This isn't working. You got to go. I'm feeling very homophobic right now. You got to go. That's a true story too.
If you had to pick like a guy who never won the Mr. Olympia that you feel that absolutely should have been Mr. Olympia, who would it be?
Flex Wheeler.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Just to me, I mean, and not that he got ripped off.
No,
I'm not saying that he got ripped off. I don't think Flex, but maybe one or two times in his life, tapped into what he really could have been. And I don't know why. I don't know if it was the health probably dealing, but he just needed to just be a tad tighter and drier. And it's hard to beat that those aesthetics and that size. There's quite. I think Lee Labrada could have won that year against Haney.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that that just should have, but unfortunately we ran into a period with Dorian and Ronnie and Phil, and Jay, so no one's beating them at their top. So a lot of second places that could have easily won had those guys not been there.
If the movie Pumping Iron never came out, do you think that bodybuilding would still be as popular today?
No way. I don't. Do you?
No, I don't think so at all.
No.
I think that I remember as a little kid watching it. I thought they were wearing suits. I couldn't believe that was actually a real body that I was looking at.
And the charisma and the arrogance of Arnold it's just what bodybuilding really is.
Yeah.
He's just the way he just would have you beat before you ever stepped on stage. That was
Dave, how would the bodybuilding industry be different, you think, today had Vince McMahon continued with the WBF and not gotten into all the problems with the drug testing and everything like that? If it would have been carried out according to his initial, vision?
Well, Dave, I think that he was premature on this. I think that if he would have launched this during the era of social media, mm-hmm. And had Instagram and Facebook and all these other avenues to promote and make this show the spectacle that it should have been. I think if he'd have done that now, or somebody was to do that now, I think it'd be very well received. Mm-hmm. We had our Saturday morning show. Every Saturday morning we had our own show. Right. We traveled it was like actual stars. And, if a Kardashian can have millions of followers right. and do nothing, these bodybuilders that could have presented, because the wrestling's kind of teetered off a little bit, and the bodybuilding industry now, there's a lot of guys that are very charismatic and good looking, and you could put a storyline behind this guy or that guy, and I'd follow him, but everything's so boring now. It's the same as it was, before the WBF, and your mandatories and your front. It's just boring, and the guys come out to rock, hard metal music or whatever, or real slow music, put you to sleep, and and you get more excitement out of watching them on social media, and that shouldn't be the way it is.
So do you think that there is still a place for something like a WWE of bodybuilding out there that would be something that would be like human interest, reality TV type stuff?
I think me and you should do that.
Yeah. Let's go talk to Vince. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be
your IFBB friends.
I agree. I think there's something. It would be separate from bodybuilding. It wouldn't be bodybuilding competition. It would be bodybuilding lifestyle. It could be.
Yeah.
I think that there's nothing going to be better than the IFBB in terms of the caliber of athlete that compete at the Mr. Olympia contest. But that doesn't mean that there isn't an entertainment side of bodybuilding that could be nurtured through a reality show or through some kind of social media outlet where people can follow the storyline.
How cool would it be to do a reality show like they did with the MMA?
Yeah, but reality shows, what it does is when you take people out of their environment and you try to put them into another environment, I think it changes, the element of reality almost, because people want to see people in their environment. I put stupid little clips up on my Instagram story, playing with my kids and going to the supermarket and watering fruit trees in my backyard. And people love it. They love it because I'm in my element. They want to see what my element is behind the scenes. And I think that's where the WBF, like you said, was maybe premature with that,
Yeah, and you got a camera, you got cameras set up in each person's house in the gym, and you're editing that together from this guy to that guy, and you're right. I mean, there's definitely a place for it. Someone's gonna take our idea, Dave.
Well, you know what? I always said if I decide to if I got bored with doing what I was doing, I would just be like, fuck it, I'm not going to do any more interviews with people. I'm just going to just film myself, all day long, and just put it up. Because there's YouTube channels out there. That's all the people do. They have like 8 kids and they just film every day what they're doing with the kids, taking them to McDonald's, to school, to buy clothing, and to the miniature golf. And people watch it because people who like shows on kids watch that. If there were bodybuilders and they wanted to watch a guy like me or you or whatever we do behind the scenes, people would watch it. I'm telling you.
I post pictures of my food and get more likes than I do a picture of my old bodybuilding pose.
I'll bitch and complain about the UPS guy, and I get more hits than my interview with Dorian Yates did. That kind of thing. Dave, I want to thank you once again for coming on the show. It was a great interview. I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot about your life, and congratulations on still being alive after 30. We need you around a lot longer.
Thanks, Dave. You're the best, man. I appreciate it.
All right. And guys, that's going to take us to the end of another episode of Live With, brought to you by Species Nutrition. I'm Dave Palumbo, and we'll see you next time.